Hello. Let me put. Welcome to this week's meditation. I wanted to thank everybody for being so super patient with me as I've been going back and forth and figuring out how we were going to do these meditations. And interestingly enough, I went to dinner with a friend on Saturday night, and she said that she and two other women, and then me, we all had the same theme of a dream last Sunday night. And it was all about being separated and not being included and rejection. And it really gave me some hindsight to the last couple of weeks of like, maybe the bug that I got was like the 3D way for me to transmute some energy, because there definitely was an energetic shift. And when my friend and I were talking about it, and we talked about the dreams were very much themed that way. And it's like, you get to an edge and then you may have some distractions come in and some of the polarity game come in to try to take you off course again, but then you just keep going. So anyway, so I thought that was interesting because I've been pretty like pragmatic about my body recently, that there's certain things you have to do in 3D to make your body transform. And so I really just kind of thought that I got sick. But now in hindsight, I'm like, oh, maybe it really was an ascension flu. So I've got two dogs up here because they think that we're going on a WALK because they saw me put these on. And I'm hoping that this sounds a little better having the earbuds on. So we'll see. So tonight's meditation is super cool because we're really going to talk about the function of the solar plexus that we have not gotten into. So the root chakra, the first three chakras anchor us into this 3D reality, and then they relate to three parts of our brain and then our four bodies. So we have three minds and four bodies. So just to do a quick review, the root chakra has all of our like downloaded information, our miasma from the field that's kind of like energetic DNA, our genetic earth science DNA that's passed down by being an egg inside of our mom when she was inside of our grandma, and so on and so on and so on. Our blueprint from our natal chart of what things we designed to have energies to assist us on this journey, and our perceptions of the environment and our human conditioning. Then we go up into the sacral chakra. And so I kind of relate to the root chakra as like the unconscious why. The why before we're really choosing how to use that natal chart, since we did come in with a certain plan and we did come in picking our genetic lines miasmically and earth science and chemically of what we wanted to experience. But like we have to like grow into our adult self a little bit more to make those choices. But to me, that root chakra is kind of like the why. Then when we get into the sacral chakra, this is our instinctual mind. This is emotion, and this is addiction when it's out of balance. And then it's also where the subconscious patterns are. So remember, if we had to think about moving every joint and ligament and tendon and bone, we would not have time. We would not have the capacity to think about anything else. So our subconscious mind holds all of our patterns that we can just automate the physical function and then automate our behavior so that we can just, romp around the world. Now, the solar plexus, we really haven't gotten into. So the solar plexus is the conscious thoughts. Now, way back, like months ago, I would talk about this being the I'm like this because, where we are aware of our limitations and our self-limiting beliefs, and we're often aware of where they came from, where we're like, oh yeah, like I remember like this is what my mom used to always say, or this is what my dad did, or my grandparents did this. Like we have a conscious memory of where this behavior came from. And the sacral chakra is kind of like I know I'm doing this, but I can't stop and I don't know why. And then the root chakra of the unconscious is like, I can never reach the goal. Or I have a recurring nightmare, a recurring emotional feeling in various areas of life. I can never stop. I can't outrun this thing. Like the same trauma keeps happening where we don't know why it's happening and we can never reach the dream. We're doing the habit and we know we're doing the habit, but we don't understand how to break the habit. And then the solar plexus is we straight up know our limitation and the limitation. Did I say that twice? The self-limiting belief and the limitation. And we often have an idea of where it's coming from, even though we can't really break it. And it's kind of like a thing that like we do and we know that we're doing and we're working on it. But then also sometimes people can be like, because we know it's a negative pattern that came from a wound. Hey, Brooke. Because we know it's a negative pattern that came from a wound, we often will use that as the excuse for our behavior, especially when it's an interaction with a person, right? Because we're like, well, I know I do this and I'm so sorry, but this is where it comes from, right? So it's like we could be working on it, or it can just be like our excuse thing, or like the thing that we know that we're going to be forgiven because this is a really hard thing that we're dealing with, and of course, like I'm speaking from experience. So if it rings true for you, hi. So when we're talking about the solar plexus though, even right now, we're going to go a little bit deeper and think of it as a dimensional aspect because we're interdimensional beings. We've already kind of like feel that way or are on board with that in a certain way if you're in this group. So being an interdimensional being, having a soul that goes above and below this third dimension, the solar plexus is kind of acting as a certain degree of like where our will, where our consciousness is stationed. So it's like the root chakra is like anchoring us and our light body and our entire tree of life. But the solar plexus function is like your will, where we say the things like, I am. And so with the chakra understanding that I have as it relates to the layers of the light body, there's functions to them that are beyond the scope of my I am consciousness, my will, my divine masculine. We're looking at it as like an energetic epicenter for the third dimension. And the third dimension being the planet of polarity, of duality, the heart chakra of the universe or of this solar system, where we have positive and negative, good and bad, black and white, in order for us to have the experience of free will. This is the place where you have the varying energies to have this game of energy to be like, okay, like if my thoughts and my masculine energy are sending an electrical signal, and if the vibration and my heart and my body and my emotions are acting as the conductor of the energy and a magnetic force to bring things to me, what am I going to go explore and do here on the earth plane, on the third dimension? What of my extension of source am I going to use with the solar plexus for my will of God? The will of God that you are, that desired to fragment from source energy to go out and actually have the experience. Like, what do you want to do? Like, to me, like, that's how, like, I understand this on the energetic light body level of what this solar plexus is doing. But then here's the thing. I believe that we are the fallen angelics. I believe that us as a divine child of God, as an extension of source energy, went into a system of free will, an earth plane of free will, the third dimension of free will, that because there was choice, that we, and there's all these different players, right? Like we can think of them, all of these non-human beings as players in this game, that the polarity game. How do we work with energy? How do we have experiences? And so for me, when I read in the Gnostic scriptures that predate the Bible about the archons, and that in this system, as the earth was formed, inorganic beings, artificial intelligence, came off of planet Earth as it was in its descent from the center of the universe. And indigenous cultures call these beings demons, call them archons. There's all different names I can't pronounce because they're indigenous languages, but these are beings that have been represented through all time, as actual beings that are not of source energy, that don't have any creative ability, that use the human's life force energy like as their food. And so the fallen angelics is really us, because when we've had these things kind of like influence us, and then it's like the predator, it's like the when we're wounded, when we learn bad behavior from our upbringing, it's those survival mental emotional identities that get passed on. How substance abuse can get passed on, and how sexual abuse can get passed on, and physical abuse can get passed on. Like, we had these things happen to us so long ago, and then we started to make these choices of separating ourselves more and more from source. And so this solar plexus function with that 3D matrix that has shifted so far from free will, because it's been overrun, and we've just been like making a copy of a copy of a copy of our trauma. So it's like that 3D matrix of energy is like a fence, and it locks us in. It doesn't allow us to actually perceive our soul consciousness that resides above and below the third dimension, that is everything. So with our solar plexus, when we are locked in with our own energy of I'm like this because, or a statement that has but in it, it's like that solar plexus and the matrix of the overarching energy that's really gotten out of hand with this fallen system of free will and the choice to choose not to do something in alignment with ourselves, that choice that just has been kept repeated, they go hand in hand. And so wherever we're locked in our thought of our self-limiting beliefs, or where we know we've got some shitty patterns and limitations, those things are like keeping us in an aspect of the matrix. And that aspect is time. Because what's happening is, because we're in this conscious state of understanding, I'm like this because, I have this pattern because, I learned this from so-and-so. When we have that going on, we are in cause and effect in a linear time, where when we're in cause and effect of a linear time, it's a relinquishment of power. Because what's happening is we're allowing these like fragments of ourself, these survival mental emotional identities, to stay stationed. And it's almost like the person that we learned these things from, a person, place, thing, environment, perpetration, whatever it was that happened, that we made this mental emotional identity, it's like they're re-injuring us. Like they're alive and that situation is alive, and the thing is still happening to us. So that's the trap, because of how we're relating to who we are now as this way because. So when we relate to an aspect and have a self-limiting belief that has that because or the but to it, and the knowing of where it came from, it's like that energetic cord is attached to the time-space reality of when that pattern was downloaded into your experience. I don't know if download's the right word, but like when it happened, and the perpetrator is still doing it. So that's the trap. Because if you like roll back a couple of minutes, we recognize that we're interdimensional, and we recognize that this is an energy game. And the energy game is aligning your thoughts, divine masculine, or masculine, doesn't even have to be divine, your thoughts, masculine, which are the frequency electric current, and your emotions, your feminine, which is the magnetic vibration, all through the physical body. Because our body is the library that we're a book, like we're an Akashic record. We have all the information, and we have our natal chart as our blueprint, and we picked a chemical line of human bodies to come through to have the right information click into place, and an energetic line to come through. But then it's also all us. So what we have to do is change our thought process on why we are the way we are, because we have to expand our mind to allow the person, place, or thing, the perpetrator, we have to expand our mind to understand that to come here and play in a duality, in a polarity game of energy, that we're supposed to make our choices of what we want to experience by the head and the heart and by the conduction of the energy through the body. We have to remember that these perpetrators are just like the energy placement holders in order for us to have the energetic play. Does that make sense? So if we had, like, for me, for instance, is having, like, okay, really quick. Yeah, so Brooke says yes. Okay, so I'm not going to expand on it. Perfect. Yay. Awesome. Okay, so that's what we have to do. We have to expand our mind, because we have to, like, this is like forgiveness. Like we have to change the relationship with the thing that we have the because or the but connected to, because that's the only way that we are going to get our mind. That's the only way we're going to allow our mind to access information above the 3D matrix. Because this 26,000 year astrological year ended in 2012. This, like, fallen system is kaput. And so with the different energies that are streaming, with this library book that you have about where you came from interdimensionally, it's like all the pages are getting ruffled. So all the weird stuff that's happening in the world, and then all the weird things that you might be experiencing, and all of the emotions that might be coming up out of nowhere, are like the energy shuffling around. So if we're going to assimilate and be able to ground more of our soul and embody more of our inner being, more of our extension of source, so that we can be the I am consciousness of your will of God to express itself in the third dimension, it's like now you're expressing into the third dimension instead of being in it. Like, you're no longer in the picture, you're now the painter. That's getting out of the 3D. And so we have 3D in so many aspects of life wherever we're hung up. The 3D matrix of money, of government, of body image, of sexuality. So we're talking about how this one traps us into time, because we're keeping the perpetrator alive and active to us when that trauma happened by hanging on to I'm like this because we're saying what happened 25, 30 years ago is the reason I am this way. But the other side of it, in an area that we're not stuck in, we understand that we're interdimensional. It's all about alignment. So the only way we break out of that matrix with time and solar plexus is when we allow ourselves to feel what that experience really was, allow ourselves to have a different look at the person, place, or thing that caused that, and reference it with your natal chart to see, like, who am I when I'm my best self? Who am I when I'm my worst self? Because you may find that experience was the thing that allowed you to seek for your best self, or to, like, find it was like the opportunity for you to grow in wisdom. So if you allow yourself to feel like you're a soul, that the purpose of living is to experience and grow wiser and return to source. If that's a belief system that you have, then you can look at that experience that caused you harm as the thing that then you got to choose. Am I going to go high self with wisdom and grow? am I going to go down and repeat and get stuck on the karma wheel and like have to keep going lifetime after lifetime, relationship after relationship until I learn this fucking lesson? Like, that's what it feels like to me. And so that's what we're going to focus on when we go into your solar plexus for the meditation. And so I wrote it out. We're going to do things a little bit differently again, because I want to make this like the visuals as simple as possible. I know that anybody who has Aquarius in their chart gets my visuals, Brooke, but I know not everybody does. And so I want to kind of reel it in a little bit. And of course, Willow's here. Oh my God. Never fails. You're always here when I need it to not have you pant. So funny. My door got fixed, so I can actually latch my door shut, which is why I never tried to shut my door, because she would always just push it open. So since I have a latch, I'm going to kick her out right now. All right, Willow, come here. Go ahead. Go on. Did you hear that? It latched. Okay. So let me dim this light. Get comfortable. If you can, close your eyes. Take a nice big inhale. And once you have your lungs totally filled, hold it at the top. And then on your exhale, let your body fully relax. Stay in that fully relaxed place and breathe naturally, because what you're going to do is a breathing 2 breaths where we're going to pressurize through your pineal gland. You are only allowed to do this if you do not have any problems in your circulation or in your lungs or in your head. Okay? You are not allowed to do this if you have circulation, breathing problems, or problems in your head. So what's going to happen is you're going to slowly inhale, and as you inhale, you're going to squeeze your perineum up. So you're going to squeeze your genitals together really slowly. And as you're really, really slowly inhaling, because we got to go all the way up to the crown of the head, slowly inhale, and as you're slowly inhaling, firm up through your low abdominals and sit up straighter. Firm up through your mid-abdominals, sit up straighter, slowly breathing that air in. Everything from below the Q stays tight. So up through the bottom of your ribs and then tighten them. Up through the center of your ribs and tighten them. Up through your throat and tighten your throat. Then I want you to push the tongue to the roof of your mouth and push the air up to the crown of your head, and then blow energy out the top of your head, holding your breath as long as possible, but pressurizing everything up. Hold your breath as long as you possibly can, and then exhale. And when you exhale, allow yourself to slump and relax. And you're just going to do that one more time. You can always do this again later. Slowly inhaling, bringing your 2 genitals together, pulling the perineum up. That's that space between your genitals. Squeeze through your low abs, sit up straighter, through your mid abs, sit up straighter, through your upper abs, sit up straighter. Keep pulling the air up through your ribs, tense up your ribs, pull it up past your heart, tense up your ribs around your heart, up through your throat, tongue to the roof of your mouth. You can even roll your eyes up in your head, blow the energy out the crown of your head, hold your breath as long as you possibly can. When you can't hold it anymore, let it relax and slump over. And then come up to a seated position or laying down. You can place your hand on your heart and then slowly begin that breath. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. I'll cue you. A countdown from 5 on an inhale. Inhaling 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now keep that slow breath. And on the next inhale, you're going to expand your heart front and back, side to side, top and bottom. Keep it big as you exhale. So however far you got it out on that inhale, leave it there as you come into your exhale. On the next inhale, expand it as a sphere of energy even bigger, almost covering your whole body. Top and bottom, front and back, side to side. Leave it big as you take that exhale. And now on the next inhale, expand it out. Maybe make it opalescent, streaming lights. Pinks and purples and pastel blues and greens. And now just take a moment in this slow breath, being fully encapsulated by the energy of your heart. This is your energy that's encapsulating your mind. So the mind is just receiving information from your high heart. Because that slow breath allows the physical heart to calm down so that the energetic heart can come through. The brain waves are calm. And it's kind of like you're like in this cloud of suspension, of just waiting for what's going to happen next. So it's like your heart and your mind are just hanging out. Take a look on the inside perimeter of your sphere. Just look at the colors. Maybe it's kind of glass-like, crystal. Maybe it sparkles. Maybe it's like so bright, like the sun, you could barely make out the edges. And set the intention that this bubble, this sphere of your own energy, is a perimeter. No energy can escape. No energy can come in. You're going to take 3 breaths. And on each exhale, I want you to make your heart glow. And make it radiate and shine and fill up this sphere of energy with your brightest light, your high heart, your inner being heart, your soul. And now bring your focus to the center of your mind and see a spark of light as bright as the sun. And then slowly bring that spark of light down into your solar plexus. And in the solar plexus, see yellow in whatever hue or frequency of yellow you know is yours. Maybe it's really bright. Maybe it's very pale. Maybe it's closer to orange or closer to white. Just really stay focused on that sphere of your solar plexus, glistening in yellow, and that spark of a sunlight in the center of your solar plexus. And in this moment, that spark of light is the thought. It's the thing that you know you're stuck in. It's the limiting belief. It's the reason why you loop through something. You can never catch a break with it, no matter how hard you try. Just feels like you're banging your head up against a wall. That thought. I want you to feel the emotion that goes with that thought. Allow yourself to experience it now. And allow that spark of light, the frequency, the thought, to make connections to where this shows up in other areas. The emotion. Where does the emotion of the I'm like this because, limiting belief, looping thought pattern show up in other areas of your life? Stay with that emotion for 1 minute. Don't worry if nothing comes in. The intention is enough. And what we'll do after meditation will help you experience it in real life. Okay. Now bring that spark of light up to the center of your mind. And in the center of your mind, 3 times with 3 exhales from that center spark, you're going to send out a neural electrical wave through all the neurons in your mind. Because remember what we know about neuroscience is nerve cells that fire together wire together. So on your next exhale, from all areas of that spark of light, see the neurons connect with an exhale of peace. Because the mind requires peace to make these connections and transform. Take another nice inhale, and on your exhale, from that spark of light in all directions, exhale a neural connection of peace. See the electrical connections, sparks. And then one more time, an inhale, and then exhale peace. And now you can open your eyes and you can keep your heart field open. You can keep that sphere of energy and you can just reinforce it. It's there. So maybe when you go to bed, you reinforce it. Maybe your reinforcement is that it gets more glass-like, crystalline. Or maybe your reinforcement is seen the colors more vividly. Maybe your reinforcement is sending out the energy from the high heart to encapsulate, like, and just really close you in, not close you in, but like immerse your body in the frequency of your inner being, and then reinforce it in the morning. And when you're stressed out, reinforce it there. So you can leave that up. And now we're looking for things happening in 3. So maybe you'll get a download or an aha, or, you know, a snapshot of clarity, of wisdom, where you make a new thought, you make a new mental, emotional identity of wisdom. So maybe in a week, or 5 days, or 20 days, that happens. Maybe, so it doesn't matter what the time frame is, but like that's first, right? The new connection. Then it's processing it. Then it's really, you know, when we have that connection, there's like still, you know, a little working period of continuing to have to forgive, to remind ourselves, oh yeah, I found the wisdom of this. Finally, I found the wisdom. Oh yeah, let me change my behavior. Let me change my thoughts. Let me change how I feel right now. Let me change my environment up a little bit. This processing and going through a grieving process of sorts, allowing yourself to move through emotions of anger and sadness and resentment, because you are like leaving that mental, emotional survival identity. You're leaving a piece of yourself. It's dying. It's the ego death. And then we move into integration, where we're like, okay, now that I know better, right? It's like when you're parenting your kid. You lie, you get in trouble, you don't get treats. Next time you have the opportunity to lie, are you gonna lie or are you gonna tell the truth? We have to do that for ourselves. So anything that has a mental thought or belief or an emotional feeling similar to what you downloaded, aha, found wisdom, and processed, that integration means you have to keep acting in the new self. You have to keep acting in the mental, emotional identity of the soul who just grew in wisdom. And so it's kind of like this ongoing 3-step process of setting the intention, doing the work to connect with the energetic system of your body, allowing the download to come in, going through the processing phase, and then integrating the new, wiser heart structure. And this is like rewiring a hard drive in a motherboard. Like, takes practice, right? But we're kind of looking at it from this energetic perspective first, of where it is before it becomes substance. And then once we kind of like have that better understanding, then we're going to move our body into alignment with that. And the more you embody this, knowing that this is what energy work is in my lane of my extension of source, the more you learn that it's just about getting your body into alignment with thoughts and feelings, getting your habits to reflect the thoughts and feelings, so that your outer world beyond your body keeps transforming to reflect the inner being, mental, emotional identity. And that way, there is no time. You're not trapped to it, because time is a way to separate us from alignment. Time is just like a level of the polarity game. Like money is a level, politics is a level, body image is a level. It's just a way to keep us separated from source, right? Like part of not remembering. So do that. Let me know how it goes. Brooke, I really am looking forward to hearing how that went for you. And everyone else who catches the replay, comment below. We've got free mentoring in the next 24 hours. And we'll see you next week. I already have the meditation ready for next week. I'm very excited about that. Okay, Brooke, I'll stay here for like a couple more seconds to see if there's any lag time. Let me know how anything went for you. A heart came through. Yay, so good. Yay, good. Okay. All right, I'll hop off. Bye.